Hello everyone, it's the Canadian Wifier here. Long viewers of my channel will know about the team that I'm bringing you today. This was back in the days of Gen 5 RU. Long time ago. I hated that tier. I could never figure out what was good, never really got down the meta. So one day I built a team with 6 choice banded things, and the team was really solid. I think it ended up going like 25-2 or something ridiculous. And ever since then, I've always liked building teams of just 6 choice things. This first team here in the video, as you can plainly tell, they're all special attackers. It's gonna be 6 choice specs things. Specs Lantern, Specs D-Bond, Miss Magius. We got a Specs Executor with Ancient Power to hit Zatu. Specs Gorbis hits really hard. Specs Pyroar, and then I actually cheated a little and I have Stealth Rock and Icy Rock. Or, not Icy Rock, Never Melt Ice, Auroras. Even on my older teams, my Mono Bandit team, I actually had a Life Orb Steelix with Stealth Rock on the original team. So like I've always kind of cheated, because you need rocks, right? First turn, I'm going to look at the Pharisee and I'm like, maybe I could kill that. He actually turns out to be banded and just O-codes me with a Gyro Ball. But Pharisee dying is decent, I suppose. I would have liked Rocks up. I would have liked to be Specs, because it would have actually just died. But beggars can't be choosers. He goes out to Quagsire, forces me into Executor. At this point, I kind of assume maybe Zatu's coming in. Didn't even notice the Boufflant, so I go for Ancient Power. As Bouffalant's a pretty safe switch into Executor regardless, as Miss Mag is really my only Bouffalant switch in, just hoping that, I don't know, he doesn't have Pursuit or whatever the dark move that Bouffalants normally carries. It turns out to be Subtoxic, which is weird as shit, but I'm just going to T-Bolt the Bouffalant on this turn. He's actually going to go into Quagsire. Fortunately, I don't predict that and double back to Executor. The weird thing about using a Specs team, obviously, is the only thing you can do 2 things on a turn: fire off a nuke or double. And obviously I was in called Queen of Love Discs at the time. By the way, my opponent is Queen of Love Discs, so you already know I win. But you know, there was a lot of mind games going on with doubles and shit. Here I find out his Rotom Fan is Scarfed, and if you know anything about me, you'll know that Scarf Rotom Fan with Air Slash just beats me. Straight up, it just beats me. At this point, I notice he doesn't have a water resist outside of potentially Quagsire, so I'm just going to go for Scald. He switches Quagsire in, turns out to be unaware, which is fantastic for me, because it means I can just fire off Scalds nilly-willy. Unfortunately, I burn his Musharna, and in turn that's going to burn my Lantern, and look, what do I have to stop Rotom Fan now? Absolutely nothing, because he can just flinch and burn my Lantern to death. So, despite the fact that I'm getting damage off and I have a water type in and I can just Hydro Pump and kill shit, his Rotom Fan is still going to be a huge problem, as I'm a Gorbis, I don't miss. I'm going to hit 2 Hydro Pumps on the Musharna, kill it off, as he's able to just go out in the Rotom Fan, and unfortunately, of course, he flinches my Gorbis. At this point, I just sack Executor to get a free switch into Mon Lantern, because I didn't want to switch it in, have it take an Air Slash, have it take Burn, and just, you know, it basically die right away. Gonna go for a Scald, actually end up burning the Quagsire so it dies on switch-in, which is pretty nice. Gonna go for a Scald again on the Boufflant. Unfortunately I don't burn it, and it could kill me off with a return, but this does give me a pretty damn free switch into Gorbis to just fire off more Scalds. If you look at his team, doesn't really have much for it, does he? No. So he's gonna go with the Rotom Fan, Volt Switch. All I got left is my Pyroar, and he has 2 Mons left, one of them being a Scarf Rotom Fan. He's got to come out on top, right? Well, no, you don't understand. I'm a female Pyroar. What does female Pyroar have over male Pyroar? Well, it has the ability to not only break through flinches, it has the ability not only to hit Fire Blast every time, but it also has the ability to call on min rolls whenever you want. The roll for those Air Slashes, by the way, was like 48 to 57, and he managed to get a 50 and then a 48, so I live at 2 and kill him off. So, bading, I get my Moxie boost. Let's get on to game 2. You already know what it's going to be, right? Yeah, of course, it's going to be 6 choice banded things. So looking at Queen's new team that he brought a fucking Stunfisk and Tangela. How did he know? I mean, I don't know. Just upsetting that, like, Stunfisk and Tangela shit on physical attackers for the most part, and my team happens to be 6 physical attackers. Banded Garbodor seemed kind of fun. You'll see in this battle that it hits absolutely like a truck. Band Sock's pretty standard. Banded Basculin gives me some priority on the team. Banded Waterfall with adaptability also hurts quite a lot. I believe I accidentally have Taunt on it still, but I'm Spoiler, not going to go for that. Banded, Reckless, Adamant, Head Charge, Bouffalon. That thing sounds scary, doesn't it? Banded Primate's probably the weakest link on this team. Should definitely be replaced with something else, but I just kind of threw it on because, you know, 2 banded fighting types is better than 1. And then a banded Dodrio in the last slot because Brave Bird. Absolutely everything. Leading off here, Queen's going to lead off with Pyroar. As I lead off with Sock, I do have Sturdy. I basically get a free close combat on the first turn. I'm going to click Earthquake, predicting Garbodor. Unfortunately, he makes the double middle play and goes to Uxie, which means he's going to get off a free Psyshock. I'm going to go for Waterfall with Basculin, and I actually end up getting the flinch, which is fantastic for me, because Basculin is going to be a big player late game. As at this point, like I said, you know those doubles that I was talking about pulling? Yeah, I pull a double into Garbodor, predicting his Tangela, and would you look at that? Gunk Shot does 50% to his Garbodor. Can we talk about that? I'm going to switch out into Sock. Getting up 1 layer of spikes on my side. Click Earthquake as he goes to Stunfisk, predicting me to click Knockoff, predicting his Uxie. Luckily I crit and the Stunfisk is just dead. Tangela, I'm going to double into Garbodor on the Tangela, predicting him to switch out into Klinklang, predicting my Brave Bird, that was it. As I can Drain Punch the Klinklang. I'm Adamant Banded, and I'm able to chew the +1 Gear Grind with no defensive investment, and then just 2-hit KO with Drain Punch, which is fantastic. Huge threat out of the way as he goes up to Pyroar. You want to know the biggest problem with this team? I should have replaced Primeape with literally anything else that has Stealth Rock, because let's count the number of switch-ins that fucking Pyroar gets. There obviously are no Stealth Rock on my team, and that's a problem. I had Stealth Rock on my Specs team, but not on this team. Seriously, count the number of switch-ins this Pyroar gets. So we're already at 2. Bouffalon is able to actually just straight up clean out his Garbodor after doing a shit ton of damage to the Tangela and proving that Tangela is not a switch-in to Banded Adamant thing. I'm going to go to Basculin here. This is where mind games come in. Does he want to stay in predicting me to double and over-predict, or do I just click Aqua Jet? I'm going to click Aqua Jet on the first time as he goes out in the Tangela on my Basculin. I'm going to get the knockoff on the Tangela, which... I mean, I thought at the time that it was going to be huge. Obviously, it was a free knockoff regardless, because something either died to the knockoff or I knock off Tangle as a Violate. But it doesn't turn out to be as huge as you'd think. I get a free switch to Garb, and I'm just going to Gunk Shot, and it takes care of his Uxie right there. And then, as he goes back out into Pyro, obviously my Garbodor is going to die to Spike, so I just sack it here. And really, my only play is to go back into Basculin. On this turn, I call his bluff. He thought I was going to double out, predicting him to go right into Tangela. I stay in, I click Aqua Jet, and Pyroar lives. Pyroar lived. He just chewed the hit. I believe the calc was somewhere around 92 to 107, so it was completely in the middle range. It's fine. But really, really upsetting. At this point, I'm just forced to click Brave Bird. I also made a play there with Dodrio. Obviously, I brought it right in on the 2% Pyroar. I didn't know whether Queen knew whether Dodrio got Quick Attack or not. Unfortunately, of course, he's Queen. He knows that it gets Quick Attack. He's going to switch out into his Tangela on that play. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is HexaBand and HexaSpecs is what I like to call it. If you'd like to give him a try, I suppose I could leave him down on my Pastebin. You probably want to put Stealth Rock on the Banded team over Primeape though. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, a rating would be much appreciated. I hope to see you next time. Take it easy, guys. Have a good day. See you later. Peace out.